Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Horrific Chat. In this segment, we talk to independent creators to discuss their inspirations, motivations, and journey into the horror genre. Tonight, we're talking to David Blair, screenwriter, filmmaker, and debut author. Even David, how are you? Did I get everything, or have I left anything out?
No, I think you got it.
Yeah, I actually did some research. Check me out. And we're so keen to do this. We'll come on like a whole 60 seconds early, because surprise! So, how are you, man? How's life treating you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. It's summertime here in Whitefish, Montana, and yeah, it's beautiful weather, and I'm doing well. Yeah, just
the sun finally came out here, like after 2 days of rain and downpour.
Oh my gosh!
I got soaked yesterday on the way home from work. I'm just like drowned rat, and I decided to take. I'm just up tapped in the head. I decided to take a video. Oh look, check out the liquid sunshine. Good old British summer.
Oh yeah.
And people are looking at me like I'm weird, going, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, just loving life, mate, you know. Gotta do weird stuff.
I'm part of the club. I gotta wear sunscreen.
Oh, are you? Got the old shiny?
I'm
not quite ready to go. Do you shave?
Yeah, I shave it.
All right, I'm not quite ready to do that yet. I like a wee bit of fuzz. It still lives in. I think it's a wee bit lazy in the idea of the upkeep.
Oh sure.
It's basically I would have to do it at nighttime. Couldn't do it in the morning. I'd have cuts all over the show.
Oh yeah, it's taken me several years to just I just do it in the shower, just
yep,
and it's done. Boom, done, and I get on with my life.
Yeah, I'm still at the clipper stage. I'm not. Do you know what? It might happen.
When you're ready, in time.
Yeah, when you're ready. That's a very that's a certain stage, and I already gave up on hair. I went bald. I think late mid-20s.
Oh my gosh, that's later than me. I started going bald when I was 18.
Oh no, I had before I joined the army, I had like full ponytail.
Oh, not you had luxurious hair.
Well, not quite luxurious. A big wavy. I had the world's largest cowlick.
Oh,
I mean, it just went yoink. I mean, it was horrendous. So that's when I ended up went with a slick back, because anytime I tried to do something with her, it was just an absolute disaster. So going bald was like a blessing. I was like, okay, finally, don't have to deal with this anymore.
Finally. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good.
Yeah, the stress that I put myself through to do my hair every day before school. I'm actually grateful to not have hair anymore.
There you go. But then that gives you more time to work on creative projects, doesn't it?
That's right.
One less thing to worry about. Just
great
done.
Segue.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, Aidan, Chris, welcome. First one in the chat, as always. Good man.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
Which is another segue into the first question. No, he's not a plant, I promise. Actually, he was on the show last Tuesday. We were talking about the House series of movies, and MJ, about 4 or 5 was on. Just but that was like a 2.5 hour stream.
Oh, cool!
Just riffing on all 4 movies.
Oh my god, I love it!
Good thing. But yeah, first of all, congratulations on Firebug. This is technically your debut novel, not your first writing project, which we'll get into. But how does it feel? You've had this idea in your head. It's a concept. And getting through all that, to finally having something tangible that you can show to people or sell them. What's the sort of a feeling and experience about
that? It's kind of it's kind of indescribable. Like you have this idea, and you try, you work really hard to get it out there and to find a publisher, and then and really the moment that really gave me chills is when we started talking about the cover art.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw my cover art, I was just, this is happening. This is really happening. And then when I got the first copy of, where is it? Holding your book is like,
it's just so you've done it. It's not a dream anymore. It's not my
a
pipe dream.
It gave me chills, and I was just like, I can't believe it. This thing exists now. This is a physical thing that exists in the world, it's an indescribable feeling.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting concept, because actually one thing that's not talked about much in horror is actually redemption. Normally horror characters are irredeemable, or the antagonist is irredeemable, but you're actually talking about it's obviously without spoilers, folks, because get out and buy it. Links in the description. Go to the thing. It's on a free ride, folks. Creators. But I told her the story of Daniel, who wee bit of a scrope bag.
Yeah. He's a prickly character who's got he's a troubled boy man.
Just wee man shit. There's never we call them chavs over here, like we gangster hood rats, sort of, can't, and they're never happy unless they're getting attention, whether it be negative or not, and just have that self-destructive tendency.
Yeah,
which is horror in itself. What the human can do itself is just we'll still get surprised that I would think we've reached the depths or gone to the limits, and somebody just manages to one up it.
Yeah,
and that's always good material. But you've actually brought the supernatural in this as well.
Yeah.
So his actions and through fire, which I think is quite interesting, that the actual love of fire, and we all know from their days, we still remember, I think, being cavemen and still that first ember, and fire's always been hypnotic and fascinating, and
absolutely,
it's a sort of magical, and it's the ultimate storytelling device too.
Yeah.
Any camping trip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, like, there's some similarities between myself and the main protagonist character, but yeah, fire is just like, yeah, it's fascinating. It's destructive.
Don't say anything you haven't been arrested for yet, okay?
Yeah,
not
yet. Yeah.
I can't get it.
Down any
houses.
Yet.
Just kidding.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's just it can destroy. It can create. It's like just this, crazy element, and yeah, and I just really liked the concept of it being, not universal, but I mean, I guess transdimensional. The interest in this element. Yeah.
Okay, that's we don't know, and that's what I like about I'm a Lovecraft fan. I like that idea of the alternate universe always trying to come in, and one of my stories is about that as well, just the hungry universes, and we have that sort of spark and kindle because planet Earth's such a unique place in the universe. We're still looking for something similar, and there's not.
Yeah.
Just and the magic behind that, of such a weird combination of events, whatever your beliefs are, just the fact that this wall of rock contains us.
Yeah. It's a trip if you think about it too much.
Yeah, and that's why so many religions will get formed, because people trying to, how are we here?
Yeah.
And
why are we here? What happens when we die? Yeah,
the eternal question. That's part of the human condition.
Yep.
But the fact that we can carry out certain actions, that's the type of horror I love, that will invoke something or spark something's interest, not necessarily for our own good, and we can unwittingly do it. It's the old, like the rules of horror: don't go into the basement, don't read the rituals out loud, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Leave the artifact alone. That's
don't
behind
touch
100 traps.
Don't touch it. Why would you touch that?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad you touched it, because then we would have we don't have a story if you don't touch it. But
that's there is always. I love the way. I think we embrace that as well as horror fans, that the protagonists have to be dumb. There has to be a level of stupidity, or else nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, they've got to be terminably curious about something, or they have to be, what is the word I'm looking for? They have to transgress.
Yeah, just stay off the grass. No, I'm going to step my foot on it.
Yeah, they have to transgress.
It's that simple. Yep.
Exactly.
That's a good way to put it, actually.
Yeah. And that is what gives us, that the satisfying elements that we all love.
Yep. And I think when people mess with the formula, it's one of those tests of formulas. When people try to mess with it, you see in other genres, like there's no heroes and villains anymore. They try to make it this sort of grey blob of anything goes and that, and that's why they're all down in their arse, and horror is just still there. And I think it irritates people, and I love that.
Yes, me too.
Horror is a continual sand in the eye to all the other genres and the snooty people that look down.
Yeah.
We nearly went into a whole conversation before the stream. That's why we thought we'd just start, because
we're
getting into one. But
just do it.
You see it in creative groups, like writing groups. Like people who write in other genres are vicious, like nasty people. It's, especially like comedy and romance and all, the nice genres and adventure have some of the nastiest people in the world. Yet us scumbags, the people that love gore and guts and people getting not just their bodies but their souls ripped out of them, and death isn't enough, you get tortured for eternity and it's all fun and we laugh maniacally at it and they're like, ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
And yet we all get along.
People assume, like, I'm a pretty like jovial guy. I also write comedy. I'm a part of a comedy troupe here in Montana. But whenever people like meet me, they're always like, "You write horror? Like horror is your genre? That's so weird because you're just so like nice and like friendly." I think that there's this weird assumption that if you are like a hardcore horror fan, that you must be this dark, twisted, tortured soul, And yeah, exactly. And it is the opposite. And I have found, like, almost completely 100%, it's the opposite. Horror fans and horror people are sweet and kind and very down to earth and very like level-headed. I mean, as level-headed as one can be.
Yeah, well, everyone's around the we do have our idiots. They're right. Sure. It's just roll of the dice. You're always going to get the moron, but they really are the exception.
Yeah.
And generally, like, you get the odd preachy one and just wants to start crap over nothing. And you're like, nah, go away.
Oh, sure.
Shoot.
Sure. No.
They've tried to bring
time.
Yeah, and they tried to bring that other nonsense into the genre, and it just fell flat in its face. The whole culture war nonsense. They tried to bring that into horror, and they just found the wrong audience.
Sure. Like what? Like what's what was an example of that?
The Hellraiser remake would be a good one.
Oh yeah.
People tried to shit stir it up before the movie even came out.
Oh yeah.
If you don't like this, you're not right.
Yeah, because what Pinhead was played by a trans actor. Yeah,
but that was like, here's 20 movies. I mean, what are you on about? Here's 50 books. Here's blah blah blah. No one gives a shit.
Clive Barker is gay, so it's like,
really.
I mean,
no, he never mentions it.
these people who
we've been doing a Clive Barker series actually. Every month we've been going through his filmography, and just the whole. He's a fantastic. Like, I love the guy to bits. Fantastic writer, but when it goes on the screen, everything goes wrong, and it's just every time, apart from Hellraiser itself, everything's been a car crash and Candyman. I'd say. We haven't got those two. We're nearly finished with like the last 3 of his things to do.
But, did you like the Candyman movies?
Like the original.
Yeah.
Didn't like the remake.
Yeah. I was like, it's fun. It's fun enough.
Everything was done off screen. It was just this typical sanitized crap that we get today. Oh no, not too much gore and guts. Oh no, and if somebody's getting killed, it has to be off screen, and it's nothing to do with the actual.
Sure.
Is it a sequel? And the thing I can't forgive is they had access to Tony Todd. And Tony Todd's still acting and doing. I saw him in The Final Wish. It only came out recently, about a year or 2 ago. He's still perfectly excellent to act, and they didn't use him. Oh, let's do some weird CGI shite. Fuck off.
Yeah,
that's the most egregious thing. And Jordan Peele's an arsehole. He's a race-baiting, bigoted arsehole. I've no time for the man, and he just smells of Hollywood farts. He's the example of people who don't want in horror.
But what did you think about like Get Out?
I like Get Out, but once again, you can't be a racist and then put yourself into another body. If you think you're superior to somebody or something else, you're not going to put your consciousness into the body of the thing you hate. So the whole actual storyline and then the messaging outside it doesn't add up. And this is what I'm talking about. The wrong genre. That bullshit doesn't fit in horror because we do not care.
Sure. I think that Get Out, like the racism of that comes from like tokenism. It comes from like these old white people like are racist in their way that they tokenized these black people. Like, oh, they're all good athletes. They're all, like, so it was like
but if
the racism was like this like kind of fucked up tokenism.
Yeah, well, that's obviously a dumb Yankee-san thing. That's what you've tried to export over here. Thanks very much.
Did you like Us?
No, absolutely hated it. I just couldn't gel with those characters whatsoever.
Yeah, my partner Jake, he didn't really like it either. I liked it. I was like, this is weird, and I kind of dig it. What'd you think of Nope?
Didn't watch it.
Oh, I
gave up after Us.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just like, nah.
Try.
And he even started the. That's what I'm saying. Once you start that shite and slagging off the audience, well, guess what?
Yeah.
Rather than spending some Hollywood dickhead, I'll, let's say, buy some of the authors' books that come on the show or support their films. I'll spend my money on that instead.
Well, I can't argue with that.
That's the way I look at it. So if you're going to call me blah, 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 okay, I'll take it. I'm like, okay, I'll pay that. Fine. That's the way you feel. Who doesn't hate me? You don't hate me. Here you go. Have some of my meager earnings.
Yeah.
It's not hard, is it?
Argue that. No.
Like I said, I can find 100 other creators of what I hate box ticking. Absolutely hate it. Like, you don't. You're only getting this part because tick, 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 piss off.
Sure.
What happened to let's talk as people, and we either like each other or we don't. End of story, and have respect that way. It's not hard, is it?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
But a lot of it is manufactured. But like I said, they're trying. I mean, no. Back to Hellraiser. That was a mediocre movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was so meh. It wasn't even bad. It was just, what is this? And it fell flat. And I have no desire. I know, for example, when I have no desire to rewatch something, even if it appears in streaming, that I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah. I had a blast watching the new Hellraiser. I thought it was fun as fuck. I just really, it was just fun. And I liked seeing who is Jamie Clayton as Pinhead. I thought it was.
It was cool, but she wasn't. She was underutilized, and
that is true. I agree with that.
Hobo character, who was a shit character, and you couldn't get behind her whatsoever. And they had done Voight's journey into depravity, and trying to get to the end, that would have been much more interesting. But to do that sort of cut off, and then enter disposable character number one, and I did a whole review on it, I went to tell, but you know what I mean? Enter disposable character one, no contacts, and then no fall through, and then it jumps in time, and
sure,
it was just like I said, it was just meh.
Yeah, it's not without its mistakes. So just give me a context. What are your top horror movies then?
Oh God, that's something put me on the spot now.
I'm interviewing you now.
Right here, here, excuse me, work. I'll go to sleep now.
You're a guest on my
show.
Welcome to Horrific Podcast. My name is David Blair. I'll be your host.
Now we're actually probably going to get viewers now. People turn up. Always have a look. Nightmare on Elm Street series. That's my number one go-to. The Hammer horror movies. Like, I can't really single one out. Probably The Devil Rides Out, or what was the second Dracula movie with Christopher Lee? The one where Renfield actually brings it back to life after he gets.
Oh shit! I can't
remember the title.
Fan. I don't know that.
We're doing a whole segment on Dracula at some point in the next couple of weeks. I'll have to do some research. But that one, and then horror comedy, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I will watch that movie a million times.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space was one of my favorite.
Yes, exactly.
Favorite kids as a
Chris was on the show and we did a whole deep dive into that one.
Killer Clowns, he loves it.
Just that is proper. Once again, it's about the love being, being put in the project. Like, I want to make a good movie. I want to entertain people. which I think's kind of gone today.
Yeah, there's something happening. There's something wrong.
Just creatively bankrupt. Just
yeah.
The people. It's always happens though. The people that build the thing are the entrepreneurs, the sort of people with vision. Then it gets taken over by basically inherit the keys of the kingdom by lesser
because
types.
they're like, there's money in there. Let's take it and exploit it, and then eventually ruin it.
Yeah. How much can we get out of this?
Milk them teats.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Exactly. And that's what happened. Then by the time the next generation, they're just drones, part of the system, absolutely no creative energy because the ones above them have ruined it. It's the the old legacy of the parents, the children, the grandkids. It's the same cycle.
Sure, it becomes a copy of a copy of a copy, and every copy, the quality degrades.
Yeah, just slightly diminishes, and it doesn't matter how good. And then it has to. And I think we're starting to see the point where the venture capital's run out for a lot of these big companies. It's and I keep saying like this writers and actors strike, brilliant.
Yeah,
independent creators, get out there. Now's their time. Now's the time to actually punch a hole. And eventually that will go, something else come up, and then the cycle will, we'll get new innovation. But the cycle will continue because then it'll be built, and then the children will step in, the grandchildren, then it goes back to rat shit again. We've seen it throughout history.
Yeah, and around we go.
Yeah. But the point's to enjoy the journey and just try and do your bit, I think. Do you sort of, are you conscious of that, looking at the world going, well, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. I'm not going to be a stereotype. How do you go about sort of putting your stamp that, thinking longevity, what are people going to think of me in 20 years' time?
To be totally honest, I don't think about that. I don't think about that at all, really. I mean, like in my fantasy, in my self-aggrandizing fantasies that I have, I do. But I mean, like when I'm creating something, that never crosses my mind. I usually just like, when I get an idea, I always want to make something that like, I write and I create things for the 12-year-old version of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always like thinking about, oh my gosh, would 12-year-old David like this idea? And he absolutely would. I know that sounds weird, but
I get it. No, I do. I get it because we all got that inner child, and they're just, the whole saying, when I was a child, I did childish things. When I became a man, I put away childish things, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But you still have to nurture that bit of, because that's your sense of wonder.
Oh, 100%. That is my number one audience member is my 12-year-old self. I write for him. And I want to explore things that he would like. And I mean, that's not to say that 12-year-old David likes, a lot of gore and whatever, even though he probably would. But
12-year-old me did. I was a twisted wee shite. Like I said, it was just I think it was a Hammer horror house. Yeah, it was a Hammer movies starting
off. What is that? You said Hammer horror. I don't know what that is.
Hammer, right. So it's an old company. They're this sort of are still about, but it's a British film company, and they did like Vincent Price, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee were the top three, and it was all horror shows. So the Dracula movies, Frankenstein, it was similar when you think of Universal horror, right? The Hammer horror was like on par with that.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, there's still, there's a load of movies, they're still watchable. The Mask of the Red Death. God, what else? There's hundreds. You would be here all day just going through them. Like, it was a factory, but there was it was all done in Pinewood Studios. They were the main sort of customer, if that makes sense, that kept Pinewood Studios going. The last thing I remember them doing was The Woman in Black. That was a Hammer horror.
Oh, with Daniel Radcliffe?
Yeah.
Cool. I liked that movie. I don't remember it that well, but I remember when I did watch it.
It was a fun watch, but it's not like, it wasn't groundbreaking or anything.
Sure.
But it was what made me prick my my eyes up when I saw a Hammer Horror production. I'm like, holy crap, they're still here. Because I thought they'd closed down and gone forever. So,
well, that's good to know.
But they were like 70s and 80s.
Okay.
What was it? The Abominable Snowman. The Mummy series, I think, was Hammer Horror.
Oh, okay.
If you remember Christopher Lee and Vincent Price.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whole,
but I know like Vincent Price from like a different, like in a different context. I didn't know him in that. Like I knew him as like, you know, the voice that comes on it in Thriller, and then also like the man in Edward Scissorhands, the creator, the whatever he is.
Oh yes, the mad scientist that, you know, almost like Frankenstein. He played Frankenstein. No,
Edward Scissorhands. Yeah. So I don't know Christopher Lee in his like the context that I should know him. I know him as.
You know, that is a rabbit hole that you might want to jump down. I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay.
And the atmosphere as well. The way they did the sets, it was almost like a stage.
Oh, sure.
So they did, you know, and we're talking about the, you know, practical effects, and wasn't loads of gore.
Mm-hmm.
It was very artistically the way it was done. Sort of the dread, and the original. They did the original Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, okay.
So not the remake with Gary Oldman, but the first one with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing.
Yeah, I'm a bad fan. I need to get.
Yeah, but I'm an old fart. No, I mean, I've been around for these, so you can be forgive. You're still young and got the whole world in front of you. You know what I mean? I'm a bit further down the road.
Young-ish. I'm young-ish. I'm young adjacent.
It's how you feel inside. That's the important thing.
That's right.
People just.
I'm that 12-year-old kid.
Yeah. Talking about writing, one thing I noticed in one of your interviews, you talked about you'd actually went and worked on a dark fantasy novel, and decided, nah, it's not. That's it. You know, you put the kibosh on it. What happened there? Because that's to put that amount of work into something, and then be like, nah, it's not seeing the light of day. What was the whole thought process behind that?
You know, I don't know. I feel like, and yeah, my horror fantasy book is called The Mountain, and it's originally conceived as a trilogy, and I wrote it when I was in kind of a very like lonely part of my life, like a very lonely time, but also like super prolific. I was doing a lot, even though I was incredibly lonely. And I think it's a good book. There's a small handful of people who have read it, and they really like it. It's a beast. It's long as fuck. And I haven't had the energy to go back and edit.
Oh no, I hear that.
So basically, I'm lazy. That is why. That's why.
Editing is the worst thing. You know, like before we went on, I've got a narrated fiction piece that got done. The poor guy that gave me the excerpt has been waiting weeks before I put it up on the channel, and I got the first initial recording done, and it's taken me to now to actually go back and edit before I can. I love the recording. I love putting the story together, you know, with the sound effects and the music and bringing it to life. I hate editing. It's the drain.
That's where the work comes in. That's where like the passion and the talent and the, you know, the creative spark kind of, I don't know, like editing is where everything takes shape. It's so incredibly important, but that is where the work comes in.
And you have to focus.
Yeah.
Like that's what you need. You can't just like you can play about with ideas and put it on, or you can riff and you can talk, you can create things, but when you're actually going, this needs to be something tangible.
Yeah.
That's where you got to be almost detached.
Yeah.
Put the ego aside and head in the weeds, like stay off social media, no phone off away. You're just like, I'm knuckling down for 2 hours at a time. Do people understand that? You know, especially book fans, I think, people that enjoy authors. And I was like, oh, when's the next piece coming out? When's the next piece? And you're like, well, you know, and and so many people get burnt out with it because the expectation of fans, because I think it just happens like that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, 100%, 100%. Oh, Chris, you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard the editing takes longer than writing a novel. Yeah, rearrange. That's absolutely true. And the whole like killing your darlings, and then like, oh my gosh, this doesn't make sense. Why did I like? I really love this scene, but guess what? It doesn't serve the story at all. So
yeah, but that's sometimes you have an idea and you're like, oh, that's a brilliant idea, and you're like, I can't do anything with it.
Mm-hmm,
Just shit.
Yeah.
So
like one day I might go back and commit to editing The Mountain and seeing, and just putting it out there, seeing what happens with it, because I really do like it, and it was the first book that I wrote, and I kind of view it right now as like that was my training ground. That was my prep.
So what you're saying is basically any time spent creative isn't wasted time.
100%.
If you're actually taking part in the creative process.
Yeah, I don't think that there's such thing as wasted time if you're doing something creative, even if it never sees the light of day. I've also written like a limited series, a thriller mystery limited series that is 6 episodes long, and I don't know if it'll ever see anything. But what it helped me do is hone in my creating of characters and hone in my dialogue, just and keeping the gears spinning and the wheels greased. It's never a waste of time, ever.
Yeah, because one thing about that, what we try and do is, I always believe there should be more creators, not less. And so many people put that many barriers up to doing it. Oh, yeah. I can't do it unless it's a success. And that's why I'm talking about the bitchiness and writing groups. That there's so many insecure people there that can only be successful if they're putting people off or tearing them down, which absolutely no time for whatsoever.
Sure.
Like if your success is that shaky, then it's not our problem. Cheers.
Yeah. I mean, I would be totally lying if I said that I haven't ever like thought that my success is measured by my financial gain or my...
Well, it's a metric of measurement. You put something out, it's available to buy. So if somebody buys it, they're showing interest in your product. If
validation.
They tell someone else and you're getting direct, you're getting direct validation. And anybody can go, especially today on social media, and get false validation.
Oh my God!
People can pat them on the shoulder, say, "You're brilliant, you're this, you're that." But when somebody's prepared to put their hand in their pocket and hand over, and one thing does frustrate me a bit about horror fans, there are quite a lot of them just won't do that. They want everything for free. Now, maybe that's just culture in general, but I see a lot of folks and they're like, "Oh, I ripped this. I get this on Tubi, or I'm not going to buy this." And you're like, but how is somebody going to continue if you don't give them the means or the encouragement?
Right, 100%. My partner Jake, I've learned so. Like, I am a horror fan. Is
he creative, or what's
he's a brilliant writer. Brilliant writer. He's currently writing a a memoir about being a queer person hiking the Appalachian Trail. But he's also like a horror movie encyclopedia. That guy knows more and has exposed me to way more horror than I
except the Homer horror.
Except for the
So is he that good, really?
Yeah, Jake, you're right. I'm gonna take this up with him.
You might want to think your life choices. You know what I mean? Is he really the right man for you? And the first divorce caused all this.
Exactly. Yeah. So where were
Only joking, of course.
Oh shit! What was I saying? What was my?
You're saying he's a encyclopedia of horror, and you were talking about him inspiring you with your writing. So we're talking about validation and.
Yes. He always says like. He's always extremely happy to pay for anything horror, because he believes in voting with your dollars. So if you go, here's a recent example. We didn't do this, but we've talked about doing this. So we went and saw Avatar: Way of Water. Garbage. But we have some friends who are like, oh, I want to go. And Jake was like, okay, I'll maybe go see it again, but I am going to buy a ticket to whatever horror movie was playing.
God, what's that called?
And then
you buy the ticket, the one, and there's a name for that.
And then you sneak into the other movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we used to do that as kids.
Yeah.
You're not old enough to go in the movies. You went and you bought and 7 p.m. was about the right time to do it. Because obviously if you went at 9 p.m. it was all the adult stuff and you got caught out straight away. But if you went around about 7 p.m. you'd go into like the 15 rated one or the 12 rated one, and then you're like sneak. Let's just say when I was growing up, the rules were not as enforced as heavily. There's a bit more of a leeway.
Loosey goosey.
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, you're in there, but you're covered. Blah blah blah. So you pay the ticket. Doors open, so weird. But there's actually a term for that, and I can't remember it right now because I'm dumb.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but yeah, he will go see anything, any horror. Like he loves the B movies, any horror. He will go and see in the theater because he wants to show that there's interest with his dollar. Like vote with your dollars.
Yeah, that's the the biggest power a person can have.
Yeah,
you can preach and virtue signal, but people don't want to be preached to.
No,
it doesn't matter what side of the fence or anything else. People don't like being told you're a terrible person, blah blah blah.
No.
So once you start doing that, it's like, you know what, switch off.
Yeah.
The best way you can tell someone that, you don't have to get angry, you don't have to rant, you just go, no, well, you know what, see the ching ching goes here because they're not calling me names. Job done.
Yeah.
That's just general.
Yeah.
Talking of which, hiking and horror. Oh God, who do you call? Oh my God!
Buy a cabin in the woods. Oh my gosh, no, Chris, you should go hiking. You should get that cabin in the woods.
Yes, absolutely.
You absolutely should.
Jeremy, he passed away there. He's found like months later. What's his name? Oh my God, British guy.
Who?
Jeremy Irons.
He died?
Yeah, his body was found. He went hiking and
not Jeremy Irons.
No, he reminds me of Jeremy Irons.
His Warlock. He was in Warlock. He was in Arachnophobia.
Yes.
Julian Sands.
God, I always mix him up. He looks so like Jeremy.
They do have, they have a vibe.
And the sound the same as well. To the point, it's like Vincent Price and Peter Cushing always mix those up. Even though I've watched them a million times, I have to sort of double check. Like, yep, I'm talking about the right one. Yeah, God, that was there's real life horror.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Mind his own business.
Can you imagine?
Not occur in the world. Something you would think would be cathartic and peaceful ends in absolute disaster.
Do they know what happened?
No, nothing's come out about it.
But they did find his body.
They found his body, but it was months later. It just went missing and then finally found him. But that's the fact that you can do that.
Yeah.
In today's world of technology and GPS and being able to track folks. In fact, anyone wearing a tinfoil hat about your phone tracking you, obviously not in this case. Just saying, because
it's really believable here actually in the United States. There are so many like deep woods and mountains and forests that are not like you could absolutely get lost in.
Pretty
easily.
Been your side of the pond a couple of times. I'm well aware.
Yeah,
but that's
no. Jeremy Irons' publicist is online too. He's not happy.
That's it. Won't be the first person I've upset in my life. Dear. No, I don't do clickbait. I'm just sick and twisted.
I like it.
No, you gotta. But then again, you need the gallows humor too, because if not, you just crawl into a ball and you never leave the house.
Yeah.
But it's just there's real life tragedy just straight out there, and it can happen to anybody. And that's, I think, I love about the horror genre. It brings that to the forefront. Maybe why people aren't comfortable with it, because you face that cold hard truth of it could happen to you, and sometimes, most slasher movies you do something wrong, but most times it's not your fault. You're just wrong place, wrong time. Circumstances have put you in this world of hell.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I love, like, it's not really considered a horror movie, but Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in ages.
Is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. And it is all, it's about addiction, and it's real. It feels really real. And also that movie Kids. Do you remember that movie Kids?
No.
It came out in the 90s. I mean, I was still in high school when that came out. But that is a terrifying, sober look at, like, the youth of that time. And yeah, there are a lot of things. It doesn't have to be supernatural, or it doesn't have to be, like, monsters or serial killers. Like, real life can be fucking terrifying.
Well, the original Planet of the Apes series,
scary. What was that?
The original Planet of the Apes series terrified me as a kid.
Oh, sure. With
Charlton Heston. Oh shit, that could happen. And they actually went this much detail of this virus hit the world, and then because all the dogs died, people had apes as pets, and then evolution happened. You're like, holy crap, that was dark. Like, that was a sci-fi series, and it was mainstream. But that was bloody dark. The trilogy of movies. That's my first exposure, I think, as a kid, to that sort of dystopian universe, and how a series of actions can lead their own downfall. And then it was obviously the 80s, so it was the Cold War era. That was a big theme, the idea that 1 minute we could just get wiped out in nuclear holocaust.
Oh my God, sure. Yeah,
very real. Quite a few times just threat. Came that close to the button being pushed. You're just waiting. I think we were just waiting for it. We're just waiting for somebody, because everyone it wasn't, that's why it was called the Cold War, because it wasn't actually land battles or anything. It was just all this pushing and shoving, and just 1 minute. It was actually worse, I think, than just being in straight out battle. At least you know what's happening. But
you get a psychopath dictator in office, and you just don't know if they're gonna need to have a dick measuring contest with somebody that they're fighting with another country, and then they're like, okay, fine.
I'm not lying. I'd be that person. Here, your other plastic patty in chief at the moment's not too far off it either. You'd probably do it by accident.
By accident, yeah. Oh my God, poor Biden.
No, he's a British hating scumbag.
Oh, is he? I didn't know.
Yep. Oh yeah. Wow. IRA supporter.
Listen,
like,
he was
happy. He's part of the plastic patty movie. Happy to send bombs and bullets to my country because he didn't like us, and we had to be wiped out. He's all part of that cohort. So no sympathy for him. Kind of took that a wee bit personally when bombs are going off in your streets, funded by Americans.
Sure, yeah. Oh, I mean, America is actually the worst. We're the worst. We're the worst. I don't think that I have ever felt less pride to be an American than I have since 2016 through now. We are absolutely doing everything wrong.
It's happening the world over. It's just this
emoji. Yeah.
This group of absolute idiots, no connection to actually real people. And it's across the board.
It's money and power. They don't give a fuck about the people. It's money and power.
But I don't get it. I equated the current thing of me being obsessed with somebody 2 streets away in their house. What are they doing? Are they doing correct things?
Mm-hmm.
Are they saying the correct words in the right order as the fashion of this week? I better go and check. I don't give a shit. You do you. As long as you're not approaching me, I'm cool with that.
Sure.
And it's the same as people like, oh, you're a horror fan, you're this. It can be further from the truth. And I hate the way we get labeled with that.
Live and let live. That's what I
say. Until you cross the doorstep, actually step into my world, then we've got a problem.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And then expect retribution in tenfold. That's the way I live, you know. Because that's once you make that decision to sort of knock on someone's door and then step into their house, metaphorically, that's when you're causing problems.
Sure.
But that's
America is really good at that. We're really good at stepping into people's houses that we're unwelcomed in.
Yeah, I grew up on it. I grew up in Belfast in the 80s.
Okay.
Fun times.
Fun times. Yay.
And the politics segue's finished. Back to horror.
Back to horror. So anyway, the horror of politics. Just kidding.
That's its own friggin'.
I mean, I do have my.
Only American can make it cultish as well. He's the only country can turn it into a religion.
Oh God!
I find it absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm speechless. I am speechless about America. Yeah, I will tell you that my next novel I have already planned is essentially about the American apocalypse. So I will be leveling the country to the ground.
Please don't do it purge like.
No. I'm not.
Please be smarter than that.
Well,
God, I tried to watch the first movie in that series, and it's not very often I can't watch a movie through to the end. I'm bored.
I don't think I ever watched the first movie, but I did watch. I watched one of the Purge Legacy or Purge something. I don't even know, but I watched one of them out of order because Jake said I didn't have to really watch them in order. Jake is my partner.
Mm-hmm.
And I was entertained. I get it. I get it. But I'm not clamoring for more Purge movies. I don't care enough.
I think it's one of those franchises that just, like the Saw series, not just, here's the factory, here's an idea. Sure. And this is where I'm saying why the mainstream, I don't want horror to get to the level that it's mainstream, because look at what happens. You get the generic tripe, just put put through the factory. Oh, here's the next one. Cycle. Yeah, there's one or two scenes different, but it's the same thing again and again. And I don't want that.
Yeah, boring. Bored. Yeah.
So anyway, back to the most important thing on this channel, and that's you right now. You have always been, you've always been part of the creative industry, doing various, whether screenwriting or acting.
Mm-hmm.
You've a lot of strings to your bow. Was it always your vocation to be a creative, or was it something that you fell into, or did somebody open the door to you and you realized, I can do that, or it's always been part of your life?
Yeah, it's always been a part of my life. I don't really remember a time that I didn't want to be a writer or an actor or a film director. I guess there was a very, very brief period in my life where I thought I might want to be a scientist as a very young boy. But yeah, I've been writing little short stories, and they've always had a supernatural or scary horror slant, even when I was a child, since I could pick up a pencil and write, or I was making storyboards. I didn't know that's what they were, but essentially I would get up on Saturday mornings before the whole family would be awake, and before I would go down to watch cartoons, I would sit at the kitchen table and tell myself little stories through drawings, through storyboards. And so yeah, what I was essentially doing was that, and I did that at a very young age. So
here's a question: does terminology help with the creative process, or are you better not knowing about it initially?
I think that it can definitely help clarify things as you learn, but
so I suppose the question sort of came to mind there is, okay, you're sitting doodling happily, but you didn't know there were storyboards. But if you were told, David, do a storyboard this morning on blah blah blah, would that have changed your mindset and then made it a job or a chore, as opposed to you were doing this for fun and letting out your creative energy, but then later on you find out, this is a storyboard, and then give you focus? Is it better? that way, or being told, okay, this is a storyboard, you're storyboarding right now?
I think as a child, it's better to not know. It's better to just let yourself do whatever it is that you're doing. Yeah, and then yeah, I don't know.
So
That's
what about as an adult? Because this is one thing thing here is I want more people. There's so many people afraid to create. They're just terrified because there's so much, negative connotations, and they think, oh well, I didn't do it at this. I'm not haven't done it all my life. I'm afraid to start. Oh, I don't know the terminology, for example. Is it necessary?
No, nope. Yeah, that is your question. Yes, the terminology. No, the answer is absolutely no. I wrote my first screenplay when I didn't have like Final Draft or any kind of program or any kind of knowledge. I didn't read a book on how to interior, blah 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 blah, exterior. Like all of those.
Exactly. And people are afraid to start because they're so caught up about not knowing the terminology or
just do it. Like don't get bogged down by the terminology or by the rules. Like I feel like there are no rules, and yes, there are like formats that help like studio people or whatever like read it clearer. But
then there's a reason why everything looks the same.
Yeah. I mean, I would never tell anyone to not do it because they don't know how to do it. I would just say, write what you see in your mind. Write it out.
You can always get help afterwards. That's
absolutely.
That's what I keep trying to tell people.
That's what editing is for.
Yes. And talking of which, because it's something I've noticed online, quite a few people, they're touting their business, obviously, as editors. But the subtle sort of nasty language they use is, don't you even try it unless you go through me first. They're sort of gatekeeping. You're not an author unless you've been edited by, and they basically say, unless you've been edited by me and pay me money, I'll open the gates of the kingdom for you.
No, I hate that. I hate that so much. That makes me want
to... You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
you've seen it, yeah. And that can be off-putting. And I want to be the antithesis of that. If that makes sense. It's like, have a bloody go. So what if your first attempt is shit? So what? At least you've taken this, and it's not just swirled about in there, and it's on to something. You've got a starting point, and you can only improve from that.
Yeah, and it's the training. It's like my first novel. Like, yeah, I didn't get it published. I didn't even try to get it published, but I did learn some things of how to write a novel, and then I wrote Firebug. So it's like nothing is a waste of time if you are creating something. It's always going to lead to something and something and something.
Like, one of my concerns is, it seems to be those of us of a certain age are talking about creativity and putting it down. I'm worried that sort of we're not going to be able to pass the torch because everyone's so worried about now self-validation, the number of clicks, likes, and whatever. Hardly anybody watches this channel, but it doesn't stop me doing it because I love talking to people like yourself. I love talking about horror. I love seeing creators get out there. What I mean? If I was to sit here and I'll only do this if I get 100K subscribers, blah blah blah. But I think that's the way sort of the younger generation's been programmed. That's 100%. The only form of sort of validation they can get. So they'll go for the quick and easy access, route to get that.
Yeah.
And we're not having people who are inspired or creative and, first of all, not afraid to fail. So frightened of failure and not being validated by their peers that they won't try.
Yeah.
And I just have this concern that we're just gonna hit a creative dead end. We've seen it in the movies.
Well, we're seeing it because all that's in the movie theaters are sequels, reboots, and superheroes.
Blah, blah, blah. Factory turns out the same guff over and over again. I actually don't watch. I have got to the stage. I don't watch any other genre apart from horror.
Oh, wow.
That sounds weird, doesn't it?
I mean,
I just find myself withdrawn from sci-fi. I'm just a massive sci-fi nerd. Fantasy nerd. Loved it.
Love sci-fi. Love fantasy. Love it.
But I've just found myself going, nah. No excitement.
Is it because like horror keeps reinventing and trying and risking, taking
So
risks?
I can watch a slasher, a psychological horror, comedy horror, supernatural horror, found footage sometimes. Sorry, I thought about sick there.
I've got a found footage movie for you.
Don't you start. No, I've had enough of people stitching me up. Everyone does that to me. Here, Colin, this will change your mind. And then I go through an hour and a half of fucking misery while you laugh at me. And then I have to review the thing. And then you're like, he got you. Like,
oh, no. Okay. I won't mention it. I'll mention it later. But there is one.
No, everyone gets the joke who watches this. They're sitting down doing a review. I'm like, you bastards. You did it to me again. You fucking fell for it. And I thought I could trust you this time. And you bloody. And that's my review. Usually of the movie to get me to watch. Oh, dear. But you have to laugh, for God's sake. It's all about.
Yeah.
Do you think people have lost their sense of humor now? That just got so. People don't know how to genuinely laugh anymore. And it's tragic.
I think that we are experiencing a swing of the pendulum, and I think that the pendulum has swung very far over to one side. And the very nature of a pendulum is it has to swing the other side, and someday it'll be right in the middle.
The best place is sort of doing that. But then the counterbalance will be war, and then the more it does that,
and then World War III, yay!
Sometimes I think that'd be the best solution. Just get over and done with.
Oh my God, the number of times that I've thought that is disturbing.
No, but it's the little yapping terrier, you know.
Sure.
No bite to it, but keeps yapping, and you're like, just shut up. And then eventually, you're gonna lash out and kick it, and then all hell's gonna break loose because that's just a metaphor, by the way.
I think that people are afraid of certain kinds of comedy that have historically punched down at certain communities.
But
so I think
humanity, we've always done that.
True, but just because we've always done it, does it make it right?
I think there's a line. You know what I mean? There's everything. There's a line.
I agree, and I think that saying comedy is dead is,
when you're saying
lazy. I think it's lazy.
When you're saying go and wipe these people off the face of the earth because blah blah blah, that's when you've crossed the line. You know what I mean? Because they exist. Right.
You've crossed the line when
that's when you're like, maybe except for Irish Americans. Oh, just saying. You know, they're still on the fence about that.
Yes.
That's a long thing. But
I think that people are gun shy now.
But nobody nobody. I'm not even talking about comedy because I'm not you know what I mean. It's only like very few comedians that actually laugh at anyway. You know, I just find comedy. I don't, like comedy clubs have no interest. A lot of them are preachy anyway, and it's just and plus British comedy, American comedy is completely different. And I'm just talking about people genuinely laughing together. I mean, people just rip roar and laugh about nothing, just daft, dumb stuff.
Just having a lightness of spirit.
Yeah.
Is kind of gone. Well, I mean, look at the world. Things are heavy right now. Things are heavy and
that's why you need to push back. That's why you need to fucking laugh even louder.
Agreed.
Because you could just get morose and then wonder why carry on, and that's not a good place to be for anyone.
No. I agree. I think that people are struggling to find reasons to laugh. And yeah.
But back to horror, we laugh when people get dismembered and go through wood chippers and smash through Final Destination. No, how many times is that meme going about with the truck with the logs? You know what I mean?
Oh God!
And we still, I've seen that 100 times. Still funny though.
Wonderful.
I think. I hope that we don't lose that.
I think we're the
last line.
I do too. I think that horror is kind of like theater. People always say, "Oh, theater is dying." Theater has been dying for
hundreds of years,
decades, centuries. Theater is not going anywhere. People are always going to want to see live actors performing stories, And I think that horror is the same way. I think that people are always going to want to feel that thrill of being scared. They're always going to want to feel like horror is a way to experience danger and fear and terror without actually having to live it. And I think that people are always going to want to do that. Always.
Yeah,
it's a human. I think it's
that's what annoys their genres, especially when they're putting hundreds of millions of dollars into movies and they're flopping left, right, and center. And little $1 million horror movie budget makes us money back in the day.
Oh my god! Oh my god! What did you think of Terrifier 2? I'm so proud of those guys. Like, whatever you think about the movie,
we did a review on it.
I'm so proud that those guys,
David Leone, and
yeah, I'm really proud.
Could have been 40 minutes shorter.
Agreed.
The Clown Cafe would have been perfect. And little snippets, little teasers.
Sure.
Take out the Clown Cafe stuff out of the main story. Put that on the internet as little teasers.
Sure.
Don't explain art.
Yeah.
That's my biggest. Don't explain him.
Oh my god.
Pure chaos.
You've heard in the third movie that's planned, it's going to be
we talked about that.
3.5 hours long, and it's going to be like.
Somebody needs to have a word with him. That's what you need. That's what you need. Somebody to like a friend to go, mate. I know you've got a vision, but dial it back a bit.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. That not a sycophant, but an actual friend.
Sure.
Who's going to point you in the right, because he's going to. Art is one of the 21st century, new horror characters.
Yeah.
That could have the longevity of any of the classics of the 80s.
100%.
And he's shooting himself in the foot over it, and it's a tragedy to watch.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, we'll see. I do think the Terrifier 2 was too long, but I was
excited. I was on board, and towards the end, I was just exhausted. I'm like, is this fucking movie going to end yet?
Yeah.
And I was sad as well because I was all pumped. I love Terrifier 1. All Hallows Eve was brilliant.
Good. Yeah.
The Seventh Circle. Have you seen that? The original?
No.
So it was originally based on a short story. It was a different actor played Art.
Oh. I think
Check his channel.
Jake told me that. Jake knows all this stuff. All
right.
But yes, I did not know that.
By the way, Jake, if you're listening, drop an email. We'll get on and talk. Yeah.
Oh my God, Jake would be the best guest to have on this show to just talk about
absolutely
horror. Yeah, I'll get him on here. Next time.
Where's my myself?
Yep. What did you think of Megan?
I liked it. Enjoyed it. What it was self-aware.
Yes.
So it was cheeseball, and it wasn't meant to be an 18, an adult horror. It was meant to be to bring people into the genre.
Yeah, absolutely. A horror comedy. It was funny, and it was.
And that was also the first project that Atomic Monster and Blumhouse did together.
Oh yeah,
after the merger.
Yeah.
So it was interesting from that aspect to see where these guys are going to go, because I know they said they keep their own flavor and they'd not mix their, long-standing like Insidious or The Conjuring is not going to mix with Sinister, that sort of stuff. But they're going to do projects together. So Megan was the first project, and it worked.
Oh my God, I loved it. I mean, like I truly do feel me and like a lot of my friends like Megan was for the gays, and we appreciated it.
Oh, so if you're gay, you have to like all like the same movies?
You can't. Oh yeah. It's in the handbook.
You're not gay unless what I mean. Homosexual or man doesn't count. You have to do this, that, and the other. You have to tick all the 10 boxes.
As soon as you come out, you are sent a handbook of everything that you have to like and everything that you can't like, and that is where and it's updated every month.
That's a bit of a shit life. Many people are like poking their heads out going, oh, is that what it's like? No bother.
Yeah.
No audience, my friends. It's safe and warm in here. I don't have to watch that shitty movie.
Oh my God, yes. But Megan, icon. Like, speaking of like art being like, could potentially be with franchises like, current
The next, he could be the next Jason or Freddy or Michael. You know, he was set up, and just I don't want to watch him destroy his own work.
Yeah,
and that's where, like I said, after Terrifier 2, I just saw all the warning signs. I'm like, oh no.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like if Sierra turns out to be his daughter and blah blah blah, I'm just going to be like, no.
I think that's where they're headed, isn't it?
And that's what worries me, because
that's like steering it.
And that just destroys his whole franchise, and the whole idea of art is chaos. You know, that's the whole point. He gleefully, you know, a proper villain, which we're starved of. I'm sick and tired of these. Oh, we'll have to explain what the villain's about. Oh, we'll have to have sympathy for the villain. No. And the reason why horror loves a villain, because of the taboo, you know, that's naughty. We can't do that, but we love the villain. But they're all apologetic about what they are.
Sure.
Because you have to witness that to know, I'm not going to go and put puppies in a blender because I'm not holding any dark thoughts. I'm just letting them all out and have my catharsis. It's the people that are, you know, I'm a virtuous person, you got to watch out for.
Oh my God, yeah, because they're probably lying.
Yeah. I will say, beware the male feminists. They've got 3 girls chained up in the basement. You know, the more they preach, you got to go, all right, really?
It definitely doesn't not raise questions. So there you go.
Verily, they doth protest too much, as they say. You know, you gotta.
Yes, indeed.
And we've seen all this before. That's the thing. And I think that's what people find uncomfortable about horror fans and horror creators. Because we go to the dark places, we love it.
Yeah.
And do you know what?
It is experiencing the thing that you feel safe because you know it's just on a screen in front of you.
Yeah. Just what Chris was talking about there, like the theater environment. Have you seen the original Little Shop of Horrors?
With Jack Nicholson?
Yes.
I haven't, but I own it. But I've never watched
that was effectively done on a stage. You know, you can see the way, apart from a few cut shots of street scenes, but that's effectively a stage performance.
Ah, sure.
And it's still, I mean, it's done in 1960. It still bloody holds up.
I will tell you, I'm also like a huge musical theater geek, and Little Shop of Horrors is my favorite musical, like hands down. Give me that.
I don't
music.
understand. Sorry. Yeah, I don't understand why the Rocky Horror Picture Show is up here and Little Shop of Horrors is not even mentioned. Like those two should be neck and neck at least.
Agreed. I think that,
and that's not me saying I hate the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I love it.
Rocky Horror is sex. It's sex and it's smut and it's like, you know, it's gotta, I don't know, and it just had like its cultural moment, you know, and that has extended to today. So it's having a very prolonged cultural moment. Little Shop of Horrors, I think, is more theater, where Rocky Horror is more pop culture.
Yeah, that would kind of make sense. It's cool to go and see the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
If you're part of the cool gang, which I can't, I'm never cool. I'm anti-cool. I
find that hard to believe, Colin.
Really?
I've spent over an hour with you, and I think that you're very cool.
Oh, thanks very much, mate. Appreciate it. But what I'm saying is, I'm just not. I don't go with the crowd. Can't be annoyed.
Sure. Well,
I don't see the point of being just, everyone says it and I need to be popular. I need that, once again, that validation. So I'll say the right things. Then you're dead inside.
Yeah.
If you're worried about other people and all the time, and that's the only way you can express, if you think everyone's going to validate you for it, then you're a robot. You're not a human.
Well, all of this makes sense about you then, because you love horror, and the horror genre is just that. Like we've been saying, like we've been talking about, like it is it's not mainstream. There is mainstream horror, but like the horror genre as a pop.
And a lot of people, I think, because I've actually introduced a few people to horror through this channel, which I'm really proud of.
Yay!
Don't understand the rabbit hole you can go down.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you don't see like Friday the 13th Part 20 or Saw 53, you know, that appears in the movie theaters. When you actually go into, especially the independent stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, let's talk about, we haven't really, obviously, primarily we're here to talk about your book, which it's fantastic, and obviously laud you for doing it. Must be an amazing feeling to get that out there. But let's talk about your filmmaking. You know,
oh yeah,
you kind of just glossed over that, and it's like, oh really? That's you just keep that a wee bit quiet. Is there a reason?
That is no. I mean, no. My film career is actually. I mean, like Firebug is my debut novel.
Yes.
I've been in the film industry for over a decade now, and
now is it horror or is it all genres, or what's your kind of?
It's horror. It's primarily horror. I've got a movie that I'm an uncredited co-writer on. But so I'm on it. I'm a producer, but it's on Hulu. You can stream it this very day if you want.
I think we don't actually have Hulu in the UK. I think it's because of the contract with Sky. I mean, there's a company here that does it, but
okay, well,
that's actually another thing about Hellraiser. I couldn't get to see that for ages after it was released.
Oh, because it was Hulu, right?
This stupid zone thing that still is irrelevant in today's age.
I don't get it.
I am 100% anti-piracy. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter whether I don't like a franchise or not. I'm not going to pirate stuff because that's people's jobs. That's people's livelihoods. Yep. That's affecting the ability to create more.
Absolutely. Agreed.
You know, and if you're not going to watch something, then don't watch it. But don't pirate something, especially from an independent creator. Don't pirate something and then slag it off. Well, that's the worst type of person.
They need it more than, you know. I mean, listen, I actually don't care about pirating. Like, if somebody were to say I pirated again Avatar Way of Water, I'd be like, yes, go, fuck it. James Cameron does not need your money.
But it's not about James Cameron. It's about the poor, like, when a movie sets in a location that helps that place's economy, it's the set builders, it's the people that serve tea and coffee, that lay out the buffet, it's the cleaners. It's those jobs.
Colin, you're a better person than me.
I'm a dickhead, but I embrace being a dickhead. You know what I mean? But there's certain things, you know, that's my moral compass.
Yes.
If if you're not going to support something, then just don't support it. Walk away.
Yeah.
But don't do the. You know, I mean, that's the biggest level of hypocrisy in my mind. You know, you're stealing something and then slagging them off.
Sure.
And, you know, it's just. Not on.
I don't have a problem.
Back to your movies.
James Cameron.
Stop.
But anyway, so yeah, the movie's called The Free Fall, and it's on Hulu if you're in the United States. And that's like the highest profile film I've got out there so far.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a film that hopefully will be coming out. Hopefully this year sometime. I don't know. All these strikes are like, they're making the whole industry is so gun shy and is so I don't know. Nobody wants to celebrate anything right now because they're fighting for the rights of writers and actors and you know, so nobody wants to be like, hey, look at this cool new movie that we're putting. Nobody wants to celebrate. So I don't know if the movie will come out this year, but it's running the festival circuit right now, and it's getting great reviews. It's called Trim Season. It's a horror movie about a group of girls who go up to Humboldt County, which is in California, and it's where like a lot of weed is grown, marijuana, and trimmed.
If you ever want to watch me vomit, I just can't stand the smell of that stuff.
Oh no!
Seriously, it makes me bug. I'm just like, ugh. You know, people, because I'm just in the outskirts of London, and you're going through and people are spliffing up, and I'm just like, oh god, no.
Well, maybe not the movie for you, but
unless it comes to smell-o-vision, I can deal with it.
Yeah, we have.
I don't have I mean, obviously, I don't have an allergic reaction by looking at a weed plant. It's just when I smell it, it just makes me want to barf.
Yeah, there's no smell-o-vision in this movie yet, but it's about a group of girls who go up to this weed farm to trim for a couple of weeks, make some extra cash, and what you find out is the weed farm is owned by a witch. And violence and terror ensue. And it's getting really, really good reviews, which I'm really, really proud of. I haven't even seen it yet, if you can believe it. I mean, I get why the writers are striking. We kind of are treated like second-class citizens, but I mean, I haven't even seen my own movie.
But back to the because I grew up like unions over here and lived through the 70s and flipping when the unions get too much power, they just become the bullies themselves. So I don't agree with that. But the best way is just not work for the company.
Sure.
And actually, my theory is, if you want to get revenge, if the company's not treating you right, leave and work for the competition and work your bits off to beat the company that was there. You know.
Yeah.
Or better still, independent. You know, I'm sick of Hollywood. That's my whole thing. I'm burnt out with Hollywood.
This might be the nail in the coffin.
That entity needs to die.
I think that it's well on its way. It's imploding. Everything about the current model is definitely imploding. So you might get the demise of Hollywood.
And then you'll get in competition. Competition is what creates better pay for everyone, because you want to get the best creators, so you're going to pay them better. And rather than just one entity that thinks it controls everything, smaller, independent, break it up. Yeah. We've seen the blockbuster, we don't need $300 million blockbuster movies. They're boring, they're trite.
And they're
all the middle range movies have gone.
They're tanking left and right. These big budget movies. The new Indiana Jones, not doing well. The Flash,
beaten by a horror movie.
Terrible. Which one?
In fact, it's beaten by Insidious. I'm going to see that tomorrow night, actually.
I haven't seen it. I
haven't had a chance because I've been flipping streaming all week and doing stuff. So tomorrow I'm taking myself to the cinema. I'm going to see it. But that's I was joking made earlier about making its budget back. Like it cost $3 million to make it. It made 10.2 in the Thursday opening. Made its money back immediately, and it's still going.
Yep.
That's not $320 million.
Yep.
Not even close, like 1.6. And that's only the budget of the movie, not the advertising.
Yeah.
And all that jazz that goes with it. And that's what I mean. It's too big and unwieldy. You can't get quality now because it's just a corporate machine.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, independent folks.
I think that the big budget movie is there. I think it's maybe experiencing its swan song. Because they are tanking. I mean, again, Jesus Christ, Avatar: Way of Water. I guess I can't stop talking about Avatar: Way of Water.
That sounds like a bit of a traumatic experience for you.
I hated it.
I had no interest.
No, skip it. You don't need to see it. It's garbage.
The first one wasn't that great either. It was a big showy spectacle, but it was basically a Western, freaking rehashed into sci-fi.
Yeah, 100%. With like really great visuals and cutting edge technology, and yeah, sure.
And what pissed me off, actually, 3D movies, they were the thing, and everyone got burnt out very quickly because Avatar was the only good one, and all the rest were shit.
Mm-hmm. But, did you see Gravity?
Yes, that was what's her face?
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, and George Clooney.
And a strange performance by George Clooney, yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. But I was going to say, the 3D movies, one that really suffered, and it shouldn't have, was Dread.
Oh, I never saw that.
Carter, oh my, exactly. Because you probably just thought, like I did, oh, fucking 3D movie again. Here we go.
I did.
And probably still remember Sylvester Stallone's abortion.
I do.
And I grew up in 2000 AD comics. They are twisted and wonderful. They are, I mean, they've got a bit of everything. There's a real strong horror element. Like if you see the Judge Dredd here.
No.
And the graphic novels, they're really are for the go. They're proper horror comics, but they're also sci-fi and got a bit of weird comedy and stuff in as well. But
cool.
Yeah, that movie suffered because Avatar came out. It looked pretty. People expected to see him. Every other movie was terrible. And then came the Dread. And the actual slow-mo scenes in 3D were fantastic. It was actually really thought out how they were going to use the 3D elements.
Mm-hmm.
But it suffered because of corporate shite.
Sure.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
And that's back to actually getting on
so
topic.
I think that big budget movies are we're going to see fewer and fewer of them, maybe, if they're not like, you know, tried and true IP. I mean, I think even the superhero movies are people have fatigue. I think people have superhero fatigue.
They're dumb.
They're just the same. I mean, and I'm a Marvel fan. Like, I like the Marvel movies. I like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I was so let down by the new Doctor Strange that was supposed the Sam Raimi Doctor Strange. It was supposed to be like the first horror movie.
In fairness to Sam Raimi, he came in afterwards to finish try and
fix
it. And Derrickson, who I don't know what he was thinking at the start, but you know, I mean, you've got two completely different styles there.
And you could tell.
I never watched it though. I just heard the story behind it. I've already lost interest, like I said.
No,
the last 4 or 5 years, I'm just honestly just retreating. And I wouldn't say retreating and limiting myself, because with horror, like I said, there's just so much depth there. You don't have to actually leave it. Not that I'm saying that you have to, if you watch horror, you're not allowed to watch anything else, because that would be a bit stupid, dictating what people watch. But you can actually watch horror and not be bored. You can watch a different type of horror and get a different experience each movie. Yeah. Now, of course, if you watch 10 slashers in a row, guess what? You're going to get bored.
Sure, but like that is the kind of the beauty of horror. Is there's so many subgenres. There's so many. Like, I just learned today, this very day, that there's a whole subgenre of horror where, like, kid goes into the woods, or like kid finds a thing, or kid disappears, and then kid comes back and is different. Like, and I didn't know that there's like a whole genre of that.
Yeah.
And I don't think it
actually got a name, but that's once again, it's storytelling.
Yeah, sure.
What was horror in the very beginning? It's a warning.
Oh, sure.
Think about it. Grim fairy tales. Now, don't stray off the path into the woods, because you don't know what's going to happen to you.
Don't transgress.
Yes, I like that word.
Yeah.
Actually, that's cool. I'm probably going to steal that off you. Use that a bit more. That's quite clever, David. But yeah, that's the whole thing. You know, the reason the horror stories were built up initially was just to warn. It was a way of communicating. Don't go into the unknown unless it's been tested or you've got a backup. And that sort of storytelling is universal. It could be retold. That's what you don't have to. There's so much out there, and another thing that annoys me is horror is worldwide.
Yeah.
And once again, people have tried to inject the social politics, and it's the wrong crowd. We love a horror movie. You go to the most obscure tribe on the top of a mountain that has a ritual, that's going to end up in a horror movie because it's new.
Yeah.
South Korean horror has blown up because of that, because of unique, they've done movies about Buddhism that brought those sort of tales. People haven't widely known them. Go to, I've asked one of my New Zealand friends, why is there not more Maori-based horror? Use the tales. My co-host Cameron, he's Native American. It's like, why? In fact, he gave a really good reason, because of culturally, the speak of the thing is the invoke of thing. Hence why a lot of the stories like the Wendigo aren't officially written down and put in the stories, because the belief is you don't speak it.
Oh, cool.
The stories are told in a roundabout way that you don't. It's a warning, but you don't invoke the thing. And it's like saying Candyman 5 times in the mirror. You know, it's that sort of. Once again, there's another warning. If you're told not to do a thing, there's obviously a reason.
Excuse me. Jake and I are going to watch a movie this evening. It just came out on Shudder, I guess, but it's called. I think it's an Irish or a Scottish movie called The Unwelcomed. The Unwelcome.
Oh shit! Who's in that?
And it's about like some folklore, some like I don't know if it's Irish or Scottish. Forgive me.
It is Irish.
Irish folklore.
About
like little demons.
Do you know him that played O'Brien in Star Trek? I think he's in it. Colm Meaney.
Oh, maybe I do. Oh wait,
I saw the trailer for that ages ago.
I don't know. But anyway, it just came out on Shudder, and I'm really excited because I love creature movies. I love cryptid horror. I mean, obviously, like Firebug is creature, It's a creature horror, so it's my favorite. I love the genre.
Is that more other realm as well as opposed to an earth-based creature?
Yes.
It's for you're Firebug? Sort of virgin in the two, aren't you? It's a creature, but it's otherworldly, so it's
a creature that doesn't belong here, and literally, the physics of our world doesn't support the physics of its world. So while it's here, it has to constantly be coming into contact with solid matter and to keep its shape.
Yeah, and that's so there. Obviously, don't want to spoil, but if it comes into living matter, is there a chance then things are getting messed up?
I don't want to say.
Check it out.
Oh my gosh, I want to answer this question really quick.
Oh,
Chris, sorry. I was curious when you're writing if you were picturing the story cinematically as your plot or movie work influence your writing in any way. Absolutely. The answer is yes, Chris. I do picture the story cinematically. I've been told that my screenplays read too much like novels, and the two novels that I've written read too much like watching a movie. So I can't seem to find that one way or the other.
A little switch in the back of your brain you just haven't figured out how to click yet?
I guess I love movies and I love books, and I see things cinematically, and I do see things visually, and I'm incredibly descriptive, and I like to control, I like to tell where the camera's going sometimes in my screenplays, which that's a big no-no, because that takes agency away from the director. But I also like to direct. But absolutely, Chris, to answer your question, yes.
Actually, as a director, you might be able to answer this question, because it's something we have talked about with adaptations. Like I said, at the moment we're covering Clive Barker. And 90% of his movies, when they went on screen, have been a disaster. And the latest one there, Dread, the director obviously felt they had to put their stamp on it. If you're doing an adaptation, I don't know if have you ever done one, or if you were to do an adaptation,
no,
do you feel obliged? Oh, it must be my piece, or do you think it's enough to do a faithful adaptation of the actual story? Does that take away, if you do a faithful adaptation of the story, does that take away from you as a director? Is it because we're trying to understand the mindset of why, especially any sort of book adaptation, why they can't just stick to the story and they have to completely hash and re-change things? I could understand narratively that doesn't fit with the story, it can't be translated, but that's not what happens.
I think that I don't think that there's a one answer fits all to this question. I think that yes, some directors are going to want to put their stamp on it. I think that some writers and directors who are adapting something, especially if it's beloved, that's so much pressure, because you want to stay true to the source material about why people love it in the first place. You want to honor that, but you also want to give them a few surprises, so they aren't just seeing a retread of something that they've read. So you want to, it's a really fine line to walk to.
This last adaptation, they changed 3 characters. They actually brought in 2 extra characters, because they changed the 3 main characters' arcs completely, but they weren't even recognizable as the characters in the book. And it was only a 20-page short story, so it wasn't like they were trying to condense a full novel. I can understand fleshed about it, but they actually changed it that much it was unrecognizable. And I just don't get where the thought process.
I think that when you're adapting something, you've got to make peace with the fact that you're not going to make everybody happy. You're definitely going to disappoint somebody. It's not going to be different enough from the source material, or it's not going to be close enough to the source material.
But is that not something you have to make peace with anyway as a creator?
Sure. I think that there's an added pressure that doesn't exist when you're adapting something, especially if it's, like I said, beloved.
Mm-hmm.
If you're adapting, I mean, even Lord of the Rings, like widely known as one of the greatest adapted film like book to films ever made. But there are people who are still like, it was terrible. They didn't have John Bombadil.
Tom Bombadil, yeah.
Tom Bombadil.
But he's only,
I clearly haven't read
he's
the
only
books.
a chapter.
Yeah, see, and
he's only a chapter in the Fellowship of the Ring. You know what I mean? He was all he did was provide them somewhere to hide when the Nazgul were chasing them. So, in effect, I was a character. Now, if they had have removed Aragorn, for example, I could understand that.
He's the main guy.
Yep.
Like Frodo.
Yeah. So they removed Frodo and Aragorn.
Yeah.
So, what the hell are you doing? But Tom Bombadil was not that, it was a fun chapter. Mm-hmm. But then again, Tolkien took 3 chapters for them to get from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain in Mordor. Mm-hmm. That's how, much he wrote. So you can understand that being condensed, because that'd be just going from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill would have been an entire movie in itself, the way Tolkien writes.
Sure.
I don't understand why they removed the Sharky bit at the end.
I've never read the books.
Have you not? No. Okay, right.
I know I'm terrible.
So the ending was actually completely different when they returned to Hobbiton.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. Maybe it's just there's another half an hour's worth of.
Sure. But I mean, like, to answer that, like, you're not gonna please everybody, even if it's like considered the greatest adaptation ever. Mm. Like, there's still gonna be people who are like. So it's a lot of pressure to create a faithful adaptation that also still has some surprises.
No, appreciate that. Suppose just finally to wrap up, just talk about your own frustration getting through. Is there times like you're mentioning the mountain and that and just throwing it away, but has there been other times you're just like ready to give up? You just got so frustrated, you feel like you're getting nowhere, and you're just like ready to throw a towel in. Mm-hmm. How do you get pushed past that and keep going?
I don't know. How do I do that? I don't know.
Can you think of the last, like, getting Firebug out of the way? Did you ever had a wall?
Sort of. But after I wrote it, I never hit a wall while I was actually reading it. I hit a wall when I was trying to like find a literary agent or try to find a publisher. I hit a wall then, and I was just kind of like.
That's what I mean. Did you just feel that point of why am I wasting my time?
Oh, that insecurity I feel almost daily with everything. But then I kind of, it's like it's one of those things, like writing and creating and is one of those things that I have always done. It is absolutely a part of what I do, my day-to-day life. I don't know how I could. I don't know how I could.
People don't appreciate. I think that the actual reaching out to literary agents, getting it out there, is part of the process. Mm-hmm. I think it's something that gets kind of glossed over.
Oh my gosh! You know what the hardest part of this?
No, that's what I'm asking.
The hardest part. The hardest part of this has been promoting and getting people's eyeballs on the book. Like writing it. Fun. Editing it, hard work. Finding a publisher, also, some work. Mm-hmm. But then having like self-promoting and promoting it and trying to get people's eyeballs on this book when I am a debut author. I'm Joe Schmo living in the woods in Montana. Nobody knows who I am. So like constantly having to I don't know. Promoting.
Yeah,
is hard.
Look at me. It's that, look at me. I'm brilliant. You must, you have to become that sort of machine.
And it's gross,
and if you're
Colin.
not narcissistic.
That's not who I am. It's really, really hard for me to champion myself, which is something that, if you are an indie writer, you got to get over. and I'm learning that I have to get the fuck over it and start being bolder about championing myself. Because, you know, that
you haven't got thousands just to throw away on agents and that. And
no, I don't have
that's
a
what I'm talking about.
publicist.
And those, there's so many people I think out there, and that's what the sort of shark in the waters.
Mm-hmm.
Come to me, I'll make you big, or you can't be big unless you come through me. There's so many bad actors out there that will take your money and promise you success.
Yeah.
And it won't happen, and you know, they're con artists.
Yeah, you can't trust them. You really just can't. You can't. I just wouldn't. You know, it's like, yeah, I don't know. And of course, like I'm a writer, so I'm inherently broke, and I can't afford a publicist. So you really have to do things yourself. And it gets really daunting. And I think it's affected my mental health a little bit, just to get candid. So
because it's all part of the pain, you know. I mean, it's if you're put under stress, and people always equate that the like physical stress, but it's not. It's just it's a drip and tap. And if you're doing that every day and you're just knocking it, of course, it's any engine. The brain is a machine.
Yeah.
It's a, you know, I mean, you can strain it like a muscle as well. It just, and if you're passionate and you want to succeed and you're doing something that's completely antithesis to you,
yeah,
and you're not feeling right as a person, of course you're going to be affected.
Yeah, and I mean, and the whole bitch of it is you know, and I'm not alone in this, but like, you know, I'm always comparing myself to other people. I'm always comparing my success to other people's success, or my level of exposure to other people's level of exposure. And that is a dangerous rabbit hole to spin down.
Trust me, in this podcasting thing, the danger's right there. It's so easy to look at popular channels, 100K subscribers, millions of views, and you just think you're worthless. Why am I doing this?
Why am I doing this?
And that's what I'm talking about, the whole self-validation. That's why I'm worried that people are too focused on it, and we'll have to break the cycle.
Sure.
And having these conversations, I think, is vital to break it.
Absolutely. I appreciate having this conversation with you.
No, I appreciate you coming on and being candid. That's like I said, it's about encouraging creativity. We don't want it to stop. That's how we excel as a species. Is our imaginations what took us above just clambering around the fields and grubbing for survival every day.
Yeah.
No, it's our imagination. We need that, and we need, some people just don't have an imagination, but they need inspiration to do better.
Yeah.
So I think if you have a creative mind, you almost have a duty, I think, to, you know, express yourself. And it's the more variety we have is how we get richer.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. You're absolutely right.
Well, that's, anyway, it's major. It's one of the things I campaign about. That's when I get my soapbox and preach. Come on, guys, do it.
Just do it.
Do it. More of, especially when you see what happens in the corporate world of just blandness and beige.
Copy of a copy.
Yep. On that, how has social media helped or hindered you getting your voice out there? Touched on it a wee bit, but
it's done both. It's a double-edged sword for me. I think that social media has. I had a really fun time doing self-promoting before the book came out, because my expectations were tempered somehow with I don't even know how to describe it. I had a lot of fun doing my own self-promoting and like making a book trailer and doing little things on Instagram or whatever. I think that social media is unfortunately vital in promoting an indie author. But for me personally, it has led to a lot of insecurities and bitterness. It's that comparison thing again. It's seeing people. I don't know. I think that.
Now, I suppose the question, because
is...
I've thought about this as well. Like I said, I've been through that bit of journey myself. The people that are popular, I mean, right up there in the top stratosphere.
Yeah.
Do you want to make the type of content they make? Have you seen that's where it really comes down to it.
If it's good.
Yeah, but
if they deserve to be up where they are, then.
But you've seen a lot of people on social media, particularly, you know, the influencers.
Yeah.
They make absolutely brainless tripe.
They've got 6-pack abs and pretty hair, and that's why they have a billion. I've got nice one big 1-pack, right?
That's it. Mine's a beer barrel. It's cake. I don't have that because I like food and drink. So
me too. I value food and drink.
But if you're not seeing people, like I said, they're making like the content you want to make, as in what they're saying and doing. I can see it, but if you're just looking at popularity, and that's what I had to learn, and it's what kept me going. It's like, yeah, they're really popular, but I don't want to talk about what they're talking about. I don't want to jump on that particular bandwagon. Like, I could do the superhero stuff, slag it off, and probably get loads more viewers. You know, just being that clickbaity sort of shite, but I don't want to be that.
But that's not you. That's not what you want to do. Absolutely. I definitely think that if you're passionate about something, then other people will see that passion and kind of want a taste of it and want to be on your train.
But being genuine, you know, that's 100%. You can tell somebody who's fake a mile off. Like, we wouldn't be able to talk for nearly 2 hours here if there was no rapport.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love about this segment, is that people I get to talk to will know even before we start streaming, oh, right, this is going to be a good one. We're riffing and bantering in a way, and that's what it's about. And there's others that obviously haven't. And that's just the name of the game. It's not a personal thing. It's just, you know, we're all different. If we weren't different, we'd be boring.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
And that's what keeps me going. Like I said, it's not that comparison, because I don't want to be that. You know, I mean, I have no actual interest in being famous. I don't know if you've ever thought about being famous, but the idea of being robbed in the street and everyone coming up to you, really?
I have. Yeah, of course I have. Yeah.
Now, do you quit? I mean, being famous for people recognizing your face and coming up to you, or your work being recognized? Because I think they're two different things.
My work. I don't think that I'm an outgoing introvert, so I don't think that people recognizing my face everywhere I go would be great. I would love to be able to still like go out and not, you know what I mean? But
yeah, people if screaming at you and throwing their underpants and stuff everywhere. Everywhere they're going, selfie, autograph.
I that doesn't super interest me. But like having people know and appreciate and revere my work, I do want that.
Yeah, those things are completely like, I want people to watch this podcast. You know, it's because the amount of work and effort goes into it.
Yeah,
and I feel like something good's been done here. And that when you know that yourself, then you want to succeed. But that idea of being famous, once again, back to the self-validation of clicks and likes, is that you know, is that taken away? People are replacing themselves as people and diminishing their own spark.
Yeah,
you know, by just becoming, like I said, mindless drones and just saying whatever's like fashionistas, and never got that. Having to be like the latest brand and always keeping up to date and always being under that pressure of, oh, if I step out in this outfit today, that went out of fashion yesterday and I'm going to be a pariah. You know, that sort of, and that culture's always been part of humanity. You know, it's been since the dawn of time. Yeah. But I would find that absolutely exhausting.
Do you feel like, and you said something earlier that was really great and profound, and kind of how I try to live my life through creative projects is, if you said that you've turned people on to horror just through this podcast. Like if you've reached one person and maybe influenced the way that they consume content, or the content that they consume.
Yeah.
Or like if you've opened somebody's eyes to something, to some new great thing that they're going to
broke a stereotype, broke somebody past the stereotype.
Yeah, if you can introduce somebody to something that they never knew existed, that they end up loving, like then you did the work. Like it's all worth it. The work you did.
That's
the work.
it. And I get validation of that. Oh, yeah, I've done something useful. Me, it's about being productive and useful in life, as opposed to just existing. And then when I hit 60, going, what have I done?
Yeah.
Looking back at all, going, did it actually? Because I think we all want to make a stamp in the world. We want to matter.
Absolutely. I think that's like part of our DNA. That's why we reproduce, right? It's to make a stamp on the world. But yeah. It's so if I can help one person or open one person's eyes to something, then I feel like that was worth it. That was worth it.
That's it. If somebody starts writing, go, David, I saw you, and you made me want to write, or I had this idea and I just didn't want to do it, or somebody came and told you that because they heard you talking about it. What more would you need? I'd be buzzing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too. How fulfilling is that? How incredibly fulfilling that you can touch a stranger's life and make them do something that they were afraid of before.
And that's the desire, I think, of all creatives. Whatever format is, just that idea of, I think creatives are more in touch with humanity.
Absolutely, 100%. I think that it's creatives' jobs to show humanity itself, to hold up the mirror to what it is.
And horror does that more than anything else. That's why people find it uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, this is you. It's not always nice.
No. In fact, it's really mean. really, really mean.
But we'll keep coming back for more. So, suppose final question. I know you mentioned that maybe what's next on the horizon? What have you got planned?
Well, right now, I have started my next novel. And trim season hopefully will be coming out soon. I've got a pretty super secret project that's simmering with some Hollywood folks. I know that you're against it.
You know what? If you whore yourself out and it helps you do something better, then longer down the line,
right? And so I am a whore. I am a whore for it. So yeah,
we're doing so well. We're doing so well.
And then... I am not above being a whore. Just kidding. It's a really it's some guys that I trust deeply, and the project that it is a screenplay that I wrote years ago that is finally, maybe like once these strikes are over, maybe going to go into development. So it's a dream come true, and that'll be what's next.
Fantastic, and hopefully we'll get to talk about it and
for sure
get a review. That'll be a lot of fun. So there you go, folks. David, thank you. It's been an absolute blast.
This has been wonderful, Colin. Thank you for having me on. This has been
pleasure's mine, mate. Honestly, of course, links in the description. Go buy Firebug, check out his other work, see what he's all about. As always, keep up to date with the channel, do the typey clicky things, and until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.
Bye.